What's up everybody, Justin here from My Mac Mentor. Do you have a child that's starting college soon? It's likely that your kid has been relying heavily on a computer throughout their high school career. But if it was a school provided laptop or a shared family computer, now is the time to get them something of their own. And even if they had their own laptop through high school, it's probably old, probably unreliable. College is a great excuse to bring them up to date. If you haven't been paying close attention to Apple's Mac lineup, you might wonder what makes the most sense. First, do not buy anything without checking with the college. Many college departments have specific requirements based on the software students use in their classes. Generally, these revolve around processor type, amount of RAM, and storage space. Luckily, current Macs should meet most requirements. Second, see if the college provides access to educational pricing. Most will, and you can probably save a couple $100. Colleges often specify, and students usually prefer laptops instead of desktops. And while the 24-inch iMac is an excellent machine with a gorgeous screen, it's kind of unwieldy for a transient lifestyle of your typical college student. The same applies for the Mac Mini or a Mac Studio with external display. Just imagine lugging that around the quad. A laptop is much easier to pack during moves, and it can travel to classes every day. A student who's accustomed to taking notes on an iPad with a smart keyboard and an Apple Pencil might be able to use that along with their desktop Mac, but students should really focus on using Apple laptops. In the past, it was harder to decide which model was best for a given student, but with Apple's move to the M1 and now the new M2 chip, which massively outperforms the Intel predecessors, the decision is significantly easier. The way we look at it, we see three primary scenarios. Most students buy a MacBook Air. It's Apple's smallest and lightest and least expensive, and thanks to the new M1 or M2, it is fabulous performance for everyday tasks. Although the M1 MacBook Air from 2020 remains available for those who need a cost-effective option, starting at $999, the new M2 MacBook Air is a beautiful choice for most people thanks to its bigger, brighter, better 13.6-inch screen, faster performance, up to 24 gigs of RAM, and a higher resolution webcam. And it starts at $1199 retail, and again, look for an educational discount. If performance is more important than the cost, particularly if your student's gonna be working with processor-intensive tasks like, let's say, video editing, look to the new 14-inch MacBook Pro. It features an M1 Pro chip that's more powerful than the base level M2, and is configurable with an even faster M1 Mac. Its screen is bigger, and it can take up to 32 gigs of memory. Prices, again, retail start at $1999. Now, what if you need Windows? On an M1 and M2 Mac, it is possible to run something like Parallels Desktop with Windows 11 ARM. It just takes some jiggery pokery to make it work. If Windows compatibility is paramount, go with that, or even probably a used Intel MacBook Pro, which makes it a lot easier to install Windows on. And as much as I hate to say it, there's a good chance you just might need a PC laptop that runs Windows natively. Regardless of which laptop you decide on, you'll have to pick a processor, the amount of RAM, and a storage capacity. With the M1 MacBook Air, you're limited to the M1 chip with an 8-core CPU and a 7-core GPU. There's no decision to make since it's outdated. However, with the new M2 MacBook Air, the M2 chip always has an 8-core CPU, but you can upgrade from an 8-core GPU to a 10-core GPU. The performance isn't likely to do noticeable tasks, but it might be worth it if you're doing a little video editing. The 14-inch MacBook Pro has 3 M1 Pro options and 2 more M1 Max options, and choosing amongst them is probably best done by weighing, again, performance versus cost. What does the school need? What are you doing in class? Versus how much do you want to spend? In terms of RAM, the M1 MacBook Air offers 8 or 16. Honestly, I encourage everyone to get 16 gigabytes of RAM. You can't change it afterwards. However, the new M2 MacBook Air allows you to go up to 24. And again, it's one of those things where if you're using memory-hungry software, like some mathematics software, you might want to go with that upgrade. On a 14-inch MacBook Pro, 16 gigs is standard and is fine for most tasks, but you can go up to 32 if you're doing seriously intensive work. With the M1 Max, you can even go up to 64 gigs of RAM. The options here are limitless, and again, think about what you're using it for. Now, the big one here is storage. For both MacBook Airs, the lowest storage you can get is 256 gigabytes of hard drive space, which runs out honestly very fast. You could upgrade all the way up to 2 terabytes. The 14-inch MacBook Pro starts with a 512 gigabytes and upgrades to a whopping 8 terabytes of storage. Choose the amount of storage based on your budget. It does get expensive really fast, and also think about that anticipated usage. If they're going to be doing a lot of audio and video, that takes up a lot of space and you need all of that storage. Now, with that being said, you could always connect an external Thunderbolt solid state drive or an external hard drive to offload large files that don't need to be kept available at all times. To our thinking, the most obvious choice for a Mac is something that's going to last 4 years at college would probably be the M2 MacBook Air, 10-core GPU, 16 gigs of RAM or memory, and a 512GB hard drive. But be sure to budget for AppleCare Plus. It's almost guaranteed that some mishap will befall a student's laptop, and AppleCare Plus covers up to 2 incidents of accidental damage every year. You'll need to have some conversations with your child to find out what they think they'll need. And again, be sure to double check that against the college recommendations. But of course, if you have any questions after that, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm Justin from My Mac Mentor.